On this edition of the Victor Agyare Show, my guest is Felicia Agyare, the founder of The African Life, a public relations company focused on bridging the gap between diasporan Africans and the motherland. A graduate of Communications and Media Studies of Concordia University, she is a sought-after conference speaker, a community mobilizer and leader. Hello, thank you and welcome to the Victor Agyare Show. My name is Victor Agyare. I am here in downtown Chicago on a very cold Saturday morning, and I'm sitting down with someone who has contributed a lot to the African community in the Chicago area. She is a communicator, she is a passionate community bridge builder. Welcome with me, Felicia Agyare. Thank you so much. Did I pronounce your name right?
It's Agyare.
Agyare. Okay.
Agyare, but it's okay. I get it all the time. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, Felicia. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with us. Let me start with a very, very obvious question. What drives you to do the things that you do, setting up the African Life? And tell us a little bit, give us a little bit background. What drives you?
Okay, so let me start off with my background, and then you will understand what is driving me. I was born here in Chicago, south side of Chicago, and at 3 months I was sent to Ghana to be, my parents are Ghanaian. They were arranged marriage, so my mom met my dad here, and they were not ready to have kids right away. So when I came, it was a surprise to them. So I was sent to Ghana, and I stayed in Ghana until I was about 10 years old, and I came back, returned back to my parents. And when I was in Ghana, everyone knew the small town that we lived in, Agyare, everyone knew that my parents were in America, so I got a little ridiculed for it, and picked on that's the American child, and so I never felt with them. When I came to America 10 years later, I had to come back to America to eventually be with my parents. And when I got here, the kids here also ridiculed me because I was Ghanaian, I look different, I speak differently. So I also had problems trying to fit in. And I had problems trying to fit in Ghana, I had problems trying to fit in America. And so as I went to school and got educated, it wasn't until college when I realized that what I had is unique and is special. And so in between that time of people trying to define me and where I am, I was confused. And as I grew up and realized that, I said, I'm going to take, first of all, I have my interest in communication, so I wanted to use my degree to let people understand both cultures. And having kids, I wanted them to know and be proud of both of where I'm from and they're from. They're part of me. So my passion became focused on trying to educate our diaspora about where we're from, where we are, and where we're going. And so I definitely wanted to put all my energy into that, but as we spoke of earlier, life gets in the way of it. And so here I am 5 years later when I started the African Life, mainly because I want to teach not only my kids, but your kids, their friends' kids, other communities, about being from two cultures and just being proud of it and not trying to fit in all the time, because eventually it's going to work out. And so, meaning that they're going to accept you wherever you're from. And so that is what my passion is, just trying to teach and educate them through life.
Let's talk a little bit about that cultural disconnect.
Okay.
What you're doing is very remarkable in the sense that, like my kids, I want them to understand that they have a Nigerian heritage and they also have an American heritage. But how has that been to the kids, your kids and the kids that you've worked with and in the communities? Do they see themselves more as Americans or do they see themselves more as Africans? And how do they manage that?
Okay, so I've made it a point to teach them that they are Africans living in America. Period. I don't care where they go, what surroundings, that where you're from, everyone is proud of where they are, and if they're not, they need to be. So I've purposely lived in a community in Chicago, the suburb of Chicago, with mainly Ghanaians, because I want my kids to realize and know that, because when they get older, they're going to go out to this world. They're in America, but I purposely teach them and let them know and be proud of that they are Ghanaians first by blood. My husband is also Ghanaian, so that is what, and they're proud of it now. They cannot walk in around anywhere without people know they got Ghanaian names. I want people to know they're Ghanaians before they even get in the room by name, and I purposely did that. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I got out. I'm like, oh wow, it worked. It works out because I wasn't trying to push it in their face. No, because it's a chance that you may lose it. Like a lot of my other ethnicity friends, sometimes they lose their identity, and I didn't want that to happen to us. Yes, they're also Black Americans. They were born here, but just know that you are who you are. My next door neighbor, they're Russians. They're proud of their Russian background. You should be stand tall and proud as they are. And when you go to school, you're not going to be walking around with, I'm African. No, they know you're African. You don't need to tell them that, and just keep on moving. And that is how I want them to. And that's how I want people to see me. That yes, I'm 100% Ghanaian, but don't get it twisted. I'm also American now, so I will let you know. But I just want them to just know that it's just how we are, and we should be proud. That's all.
I know you didn't really have a say in your mom and dad having to send you to Ghana. Right. Did you hate them for it?
No. At the beginning,
at any time, did you feel like, why do you have to punish me? Why do you have to send me away?
Yeah, I did feel that way. And for a long time, the reason why I sound like I'm from the south side of Chicago is because I did not speak Tree for I want to say I'm 42 for a good 15 years. They speak it to me and I speak English. I'm like, Mom, I'm American. I want to speak. And looking back at it, had they known, they would have instilled that in me no matter how. They're the parents. They know better. And that's what I tell my kids when they are against it. If your parents love you, they will never do you wrong. And my parents, they were the first generation to come to America, so they didn't realize that we were going to be so, Americanized, and that's okay because now everybody want to be Americanized in Africa. Africans want to be, but they didn't realize that it was that way. But now I know because I was first to experience that. So my kids, they're learning to speak Tree in the house. My husband speaks with them. Mainly we speak English, but they trying to get that because for them it's an in thing. But no, that's our life. This is how we live. But I did regret it. But I regret regretting it.
Okay. Now, just because we're having this conversation about cultures, how important is it for people to seek to know the other person or know others? And what are you doing in your position as a community engaged, a community mobilizer? You work a lot with the community. How are you building that bridge, especially in a time like this in America where there is a heightened sense of identity? Everybody's trying to hold on to theirs and trying to say, oh, these lives matter, Black lives matter, white lives matter. How are you bridging that gap and more so teaching people about peaceful coexistence and tolerance of other people that look different, especially given your background and the things you had to go through as a child?
That is such a good question. I've never got asked. I appreciate you wanted to know that, because if you were not African, you would not have posed that question. If I was being interviewed by an American or non-African, you would never know. And I think I'm saying that to answer the question, that when you accept who you are, and other people will accept you for who you are, so you don't have to try so hard to be accepted. So I tell my children the reason why they have Ghanaian names, the reason why I ask them to also represent no matter where they go, is because then people will be more receptive. You don't have to push it in their face. I'm Ghanaian, I'm African, I'm Russian, I'm Mexican, and now you know where the position my perspective is from. So when we have a discussion, we eat food, we dance, you know that it's coming from a Mexican perspective, it's coming from an African perspective. So the word life in African life is living, inspiration, fashion, and entertainment. I purposely did that because I want to use those to be able to bridge the gap with people. I started it with showing people my fashion, not because I wanted them to know or see. I was proud of it, and I just want them to see that I'm proud, and I'm not putting in no one's face. I'm not telling you to go buy African garment. But when I started doing that, people started reaching out to me and asking me about the cloth you have on, about the music you listening to, the food. So it was strategically planned, because even though I'm a communicator, I don't want to always tell you this. I'm telling you, that gets annoying. Or pick up a book and read about Africa. I haven't read a lot of books about Africa, but this is how I live. And if you see it, whether you're intrigued or you have a question, you ask. And that way we start a conversation. We bridge that gap of why I'm doing this. And when you see someone else who is not African do the same thing, you know why they're doing it. So that is how I try to bridge the gap. Not in your face, but this is how I live my life, my inspiration, the fashion I wear, the music I listen to. And if you like it, great. If you don't, great. But you know that this is how we communicate. You know where I'm from.
Thank you so much for providing that very insightful response. Now, tell me about this African life, the African life rather. The African life. What are your immediate goals? What are your short-term goals? In the long term, what do you hope to achieve as an organization that provides that kind of platform?
My short-term goal for the African life is for people just to have the basic knowledge of our culture, not as it's a trend, because a lot of people in the 80s this wasn't in the 90s people were like, oh, look at the Africans, and you know, now everybody wants to have a garment. They have no clue what some of the things are. So my goal is to try to educate them by, again, doing what I've been doing on social media and going to radio stations when Africans are having events, to let them know about the Africans and the organizations that are going on in Chicago and abroad, in the United States. My long-term goal is for us to be accepted without question, without doubt. There are still people who do not accept us. My goal is not to reach an olive branch to them, but I want them to know that Africa is here to stay. Africa was here before everyone, and it's not going anywhere. So I want to be able to have a magazine. I want to have a permanent platform for us to be able to do what every other culture is doing, because we have many, but not of substance, of things that we can leave for our children. And that is what the whole African life is for. It's for our children, not for me, but for them to know about our culture through all of this.
All right, my final question to you would be, what are the odds that you have to fight? What odds did you fight to be as a business owner, and what are your nuggets of wisdom to young people in the community who are watching this interview currently and they are looking to be an entrepreneur? Because a lot of times the schools don't teach you those things. It is the life lessons that you learn by actually starting something. So share that with us in closing.
In closing, if you know who you are, don't give up. If you know what you want, don't give up. It may take you longer than others. You may have people against it, and not because they want to, because they don't understand what you're doing, because they have not walked in your shoes. So find that passion, and my passion is for the kids to know more about this and just keep forward, because again, you will have your own who don't understand what you're doing. You will have life get in the way all the time, but just know that, you know, the steady always win more than the fast. So if you're moving slow, just keep pushing no matter what, and just stand strong and for what you believe in. That's it. That is it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and I wish you all the best in the goals you've set for yourself and for your organization, and also hoping that in the next couple of years people will be better informed about their cultural heritage. Africans would be a little bit more proud of where they are coming from, and of course other people will also get to know that there is something to be proud about, their backgrounds. Stay tuned as we try to bring you even more interviews. And again, thanks to my guest. My name is Victor Agyare. This is the Victor Agyare Show. Thank you for watching. Bye.